In order to get community notes, you need to say something that's incredibly annoying to a lot of people so that they take time out of their hand in order to put the community notes on your post. And I guess it's current year, and nothing is more annoying on Twitter than the tourist. A tourist is an activist that is pretending to like the game or the hobby in order to infiltrate it and subvert it. They do not care about the game. They're not trying to improve the game or try to make any significant changes because they don't live there. That's why they're tourists. They are tourisming. And they usually say stuff that doesn't even make sense or is not credible, but for the average normie, it does seem as if it's true. And usually those things are done in order to shame the gaming company so that they do better. By doing better, it means give more money to the activist. So here we have on Twitter someone which said that we need to talk. No, we actually don't. We actually do not need to talk. We need to talk about how I can put food on my table. We need to talk about how we can improve our lives economically. That's the type of discussions that we should have. Talking with a stranger about Counter-Strike, no, absolutely not. But since I'm here and this is my job, I will talk to you guys instead. So we need to talk about how the most popular video game in history involves playing as IDF counter-terrorists fighting against vaguely Middle Eastern terrorists. I never understood this argument, by the way. Like how exactly is it supposed to affect the real world? I mean, you're saying that it is the most popular video game. So everything they did is right. Like, literally everything that Counter-Strike did should be implemented and emulated by other first-person shooters if they also want to become the most popular video game. Like, I would understand if you were to criticize a video game that's not popular, and you're basically saying, well, had they did this and that, they may be more popular. But you're going to the most popular video game, and you're like, well, I don't like the ethnicity. Who gives a fuck? Like, this is a video game where you have murder. You have people murdering each other. You don't care about that. No, your complaint is that the terrorists are vaguely Middle Eastern. Which race should they be? If they were pure-blooded, ethical British people, was that okay? Like, would that have been fine if they were German? What influence does this game have? Like, maybe you're a concerned soccer mom, and it's like, oh my god, but the mentality of the children, it will seep into their brainwave. Their synapses are going to be polluted by Counter-Strike. I mean, we're talking about 2001, I think this game came out. Or like 2 years earlier, 1990 or something like that, right? Like, it's a game from my childhood. So if your argument is that this will cause racismus, take into account that my generation is also the one that opened the borders wide from Europe towards the Middle East. Like, we looked at Middle East with compassion and empathy, and we were like, oh, give us your poor, give us your hungry, we will take them in. And Mother Merkel took her to her bosom because Mother Merkel has grew up with Counter-Strike. People who played Counter-Strike in Germany, they voted for Mutti Merkel, which then had the progressive and forward-thinking policies that we benefit from today. So therefore, I genuinely do not understand what the problem is. But, this is what the tourists do. They launch something as if everyone should agree that it's a problem. I don't even agree it's a problem, but not even that. It doesn't even exist. Because as you get to see here, the community notes, in the Counter-Strike series, players can choose to play as agents from many real-world counter-terrorist units, such as SWAT, JIGN, KSK, etc. Furthermore, the IDF is currently not playable faction in any of the Counter-Strike games except the legacy version of CSGO. And by the way, it doesn't even matter. People don't even think about this when they play the game. The only thing they think about is right, do I buy a grenade this round? Do I save money for the op? This is what the overwhelming majority of people who play the game even think. This doesn't even go through their mind. And not to mention, most people don't even care that much about, the unit that they play. It is just cosmetic, I suppose. But they keep going and they keep getting more community notes. Counter-Strike involves playing as the IDF, and this is taking place in the map The Dust. Your goal is to prevent the terrorists from planting of explosive devices. Map is set in a location that resembles Old Jerusalem. The developers at Valve have never apologized for it. Why should they even apologize for it? It's the most popular video game in the world. If anything, they should be laughing at you. It's like, oh, you want me to apologize for making money? Ha ha ha! The map in question is called The Dust, and is one of many maps that were playable in CSGO, and is now playable in CS2. The map was a fan-made map based on Morocco before it was added to the game. Since the release of CS2, Valve has removed the player models in question. Which, again, like, who cares? The most popular video game in the world, your criticism is mute. If anything, Valve should be laughing at you like Gabe Newell. If he reads this, his belly should jiggle. He'd be like, oh, look at this guy. Wanting me to apologize for being successful. Another one. Counter-Strike on it. Like, look at this person, right? Like, they are throwing literally every criticism imaginable, hoping that something will stick at some point and someone would care. And in reality, people don't care. They're playing Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike audience is also 95% male, compared to the much more equitable gender ratio games like Valorant. Valorant does not force you to play as IDF soldiers and include multiple playable female characters. Yes, but like you just mentioned before that Counter-Strike is the most popular video game in the world. That's what you said, right? Hold on, Let me back up. Most popular video game in history, actually. This is your claim. I don't think it's true, by the way. It may be true. I don't know. It is definitely one of the most popular. I do not know if it's the most popular in history, but it is one of the most. So Valorant should learn from Counter-Strike. Like Valorant should be begging Valve to teach them how to make their game better. Not the other way around. But also, take into account that who cares? Like you're assuming that the video game, which would cater to, let's say, 100% of the males, that is something wrong or evil with it. It's like, oh my god, too many men are playing this. Men are happy. We need to step in. How dare men be happy? It's like, dude, imagine the opposite, right? Like if you have a video game, there was actually a game that my cousin used to play. It was called Miss Bimbo. And in Miss Bimbo, you had like this girl that you had to buy clothes for, and you dressed her differently for different occasions. And then once you dressed your model, you would compete with other people who dressed it. It was a browser game. Overwhelmingly, women were playing. Like I don't think there was any single guy playing it. Is there something wrong with that? I mean, well, obviously for a tourist, there were many things wrong with that. But like, the fact that only women were playing, like, who cares? You know, let them have their fun. Let them enjoy their activity. You're in a free society. You benefit from capitalismus. There are many other games you can pick. There are many other games you can choose from. You don't really have to play this if you don't like it. Not only that, but apparently CSGO has multiple women agents, and there's no official data in what's the gender ratio. But not even the gender ratio. Like, if you look at the ethnicity, CSGO is extremely popular with Eastern Europe. I mean, does that mean that it's racist towards China or it's racist towards Japan because people don't play it? Right? Like, it's such a bizarre argument. No, seriously, imagine the type of moral busybody you must be to look at the video game and look at the pedigree, like the family tree, the genetics of the people playing it. And if they do not fix your Marxist worldview, you need to social engineer that shit. Like you need to deconstruct and criticize until you get like 50% women and 50% men and people represented from all walks of life and all the corners of the world. And until then, that video game is very problematic and needs to be constantly criticized. And I genuinely do not know why these tourists are even remotely entertained. I am glad that people from the community notes are having enough and they're calling them out on their lies and their BS. Because they're trying to paint a narrative in which they believe that Valve is actually like, I don't even know what they are, like Islamophobic, I suppose? And also sexist. Now, the person is saying that the community notes are not contradicting him, And it's true, like the community notes are adding context, right? They're adding context to the story because like you're trying to create the image that Valve is a sexist company which suffers from a heavy dose of Islamophobia. And when people read the context, they understand that that is not the case. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.